Okay, let's see if this live chat works. Oh my god, this is going so slow. Stop reheat. This music is so cathartic, but I don't want to listen to it anymore. But what choice do I have? Oh my god, this is so brutal. Yo, beast. Ugh. Thank God no one's here but me. Okay, say something. Can't even keep up with my typing. That was funny. Yeah, that didn't do what I wanted it to do. Oh well. The title says Mattisse Thybulle and the NFL is racist and stuff. So that's what it's going to be. My homie on my Sixers, Mattisse Thybulle. Squeezing a sponge right now because my fingers were broken. And I just got my splint off. So I'm kind of distracting myself right now, squeezing this sponge, but it's pretty relaxing. But anyway, Mattisse Thybulle, he plays for the Sixers. He's one of the best defenders in the league. But he was looking pretty sus on the injury report the other night, or inactive report. He wasn't allowed to play in Toronto, in Canada, and the reason given was ineligible. So he wasn't injured, he was ineligible. And people did some research, and there was some speculation, is it because he's unvaccinated or whatever, and I think some people still think he is unvaccinated, but I read that he received a vaccine dose and never got boosted. And apparently, whatever the rule is in Canada, I don't know if you're from out of state and you come in for work or whatever, you have to be medically considered, whatever the rule is, fully vaccinated. And one dose does not meet that threshold. You need what is it? 2 doses and what is it? 2 doses and 2 booster shots to be considered fully vaccinated right now. It's kind of insane. I'm a old man. I'm an elder Zoomer. I remember you used to be able to get 1 shot and you'd be good for at least a year. I don't get shots anymore, but I still lived at home. And I was under the thumb of my parents. I had to get shots. But yeah, 1 doesn't do the trick anymore. You need 4. But yeah, so the problem here is Sixers need them because they suck at defense. And the way the seeding is right now, the Sixers will probably get matched up with the Raptors in the playoffs. And that's automatically at least 2 games that Mattisse will be ineligible to play because he is not considered fully vaccinated. So that sucks because I like him. He's one of my... I don't have favorite players. I shouldn't say that. I like him. And he's a really nice guy too. He does like community outreach and stuff. My friends don't like him because he sucks on offense and can't shoot. But I sympathize with the underdog type players who aren't flashy and who aren't getting all the credit. So he's my guy. But yeah, so this isn't super important. It's just more sad. But I remember looking at this on Twitter, and there were funny reactions. So I just wanted to scroll through real quick before we get to the real story. Yeah, this is one I saw. This is the kind of nonsense I'm talking about. Man, I hope Mattisse Thybulle is vaccinated because being unvaccinated and hanging out with a kid who had cancer and a compromised immune system isn't exactly the smartest move. So, yeah, a professional athlete, and this isn't like over the 1% of the athletic like star community, like a LeBron James or something. Generally speaking, he's kind of a nobody, so he doesn't even have to do this to look good in the media or whatever. He's doing it out of the kindness of his heart. And look at this kid. He's probably never been happier. And whoever this guy is, he's it's just like the whole like liberal mindset, being concerned and offended on other people's behalf. And this is no joke. This is literally, considering he has cancer, hope he's doing all right. But do you think this kid has been like ever been happier until this moment? And this guy just wants to shit all over it. If this picture was taken 3 years ago, you know what I mean. But moving on. Good morning to everyone except anti-vaxxer POS like Mattisse Thybulle. This is the problem. We need to take back the culture. It starts now. I'm just checking the live chat. Someone did stop by the other day. Bing bong. Perhaps when he matures, he will be eligible to play. It's so crazy because he did get a dose of vaccine. So that's how far the window of acceptable vaccination has become. He probably felt pressure from media and like NBA rules to at least get the vaccine. And, probably did it like a lot of the rest of the country so he could keep his job. And that's probably all he needed to play domestically. But I guess Canada has these weird rules. But the point being, he has the vaccine. He is vaccinated. As we all know, historically, vaccines work. You get a vaccine once a year if you're into that kind of thing, if you're into getting vaccines, which I'm not. But even that isn't good enough. I think I put in the title. You have to... They're not even doing it because they care about other people's health at this point. They're just mad that they all got the vaccine, and lo and behold, it came out that, I'll say possibly, so they can't ban this. Possibly, not only does the vaccine not provide any more or less protection than herd immunity, possibly, I'll reiterate, but I saw a study, a headline, I didn't read it, but that the fully vaccinated were like 5 times more susceptible to catching it. I don't know if I believe that. But it certainly is plausible considering how the vaccine has went. But yeah, even he's vaccinated. Definitionally, he is vaccinated. I know they changed the definition like 5 times the past 2 years, but still not good enough. Can't stop thinking about Mattisse Thybulle's betrayal. That's because you're a woman. Bing bong. Now, let's see. I take back everything positive I ever said. And this is the other thing too, like, the problem with sports, the big problem I have, and this is probably one of Nick's problems with it, it's this like idol and hero worship. It's like the Marvel nonsense. These people idolize like these unattainable, fictitious beings. I guess athletes are real, but they're the 1% of the 1% of the world, professional athletes, something that 99% of us can never be, yada yada yada. So they hold these people up like idols, and even the slightest betrayal, some guy taking his own medical well-being into his own hands, it's a... Well, first, these people shouldn't be holding these athletes on a pedestal anyway. That's number one. But two, it's this idolization. This guy, I'm not going to click on profiles because it's literally going to take an hour to come up. This can... Yeah, some random black guy. But yeah, you know what I'm saying. I saw a better tweet about it. It'll make it easier to explain. I saw a tweet from some pathetic libtard. Why can't I find it? Ew. Hello? Yeah, like a joking meme, but this is a joke from this guy, but it's based in his real feelings. It's not based, but it's based in his real feelings. This is why I have this slight hatred for sports, because it creates this population that feel emboldened and whatever, emboldened should suffice. But they feel emboldened to, say things publicly that are just so, like, beta, just like wimpy cringe, like pussy shit. Ja feel? Oh yeah, I saw these. Anytime someone, like, unknown that has some sort of celebrity status says something or does something remotely right-wing, this image comes out. But we love our MAGA sycophants, don't we, folks? Say what you want, but like Trump said, he could kill 2 people in whatever he said. I don't know, Times Square, I don't know. And people will still vote for him. You're goddamn right. We love our MAGA sycophants. They are reliably dark blood red. Thybulle's mom was I don't know what that is, naturopath who died of cancer, and they blamed her treatment, apparently. And this is kind of lowbrow, but I'm pretty sure that people have heard this before. The number one cause of death, or top 3, I don't know, one of the top 3 causes of death in the United States is medical malpractice. And all of a sudden, that makes me think. Many people are saying all of the sudden. That's incorrect. It's all of a sudden. So that's your English lesson for the day. But all of a sudden, people just decided to disregard that all the negative, like, side effects occurring from the vaccine. Like, people decided to totally ignore that. Medical malpractice is a top killer in this country. But the will of the people is strong, or the will of the people works hard, but the United States propaganda machine works harder. And, Nick talks about this all the time, but it really is, like, freaky and scary. Vince talks about this too, but, like, freaky and scary and very disheartening how quickly and effectively the United States, like, media, the propaganda machine can just get you to forget things and change your opinion on a dime. It really is startling, and this is very evident with the Ukraine-Russia thing. Doyle head check. I watched his video, and he explained this really well. No one cared about innocent Iraqis when we were bombing them, or Libyans, or anyone else over in the Middle East. But now, all of a sudden, we care about Ukrainians on the other side of the world. Why? You can argue they're equally as innocent as Middle Eastern people that we were bombing at the time. But, people are putting up signs and bumper stickers because our government says to. So what was I talking about? Medical malpractice? You get the analogy. You're watching Groyper Sports, so you're obviously intelligent. Damn, no one's here. That's okay. Oh wait, I think the tweet I remember is close. I will click on his profile if I find it. Ah, yes. Brian. I can usually find a silver lining when it comes to Mattisse Thybulle, even when he struggles on the court. Not being vaccinated at this point is inexcusable. Now this is what I'm talking about. Now we're cooking. I remember clicking on his profile picture. Oh yeah, I remember this too. I have strong opinions about the Eagles and Sixers, and I'm wrong a lot. He, him. So this is... I'm about to argue for banning sports in America. Because this is the kind of person sports creates. Yeah, I wanted to click on his picture. The eyes drew my attention. Look at the 50-pound bags under his eyes. Just the pained look. And who knows, like, I have a funny feeling there's some overbearing and oppressive wife behavior going on. I just get that feeling. Maybe he was a normal guy before this, and meeting a woman changed him. Who knows? But here's your he, him. Like, look at this guy, man. He needs to hibernate and catch up on some sleep. Poor guy. Poor fella. I wonder what path in life you must take to arrive at this point. He's very clearly a staunch sports fan. This is probably what Nick thinks I am, but just right wing. So this is very sad. But I wanted to check the comments on his tweet as well. Not being vaccinated at this point is inexcusable. Yeah, and first off, Thybulle is vaccinated, which is bad, but he is vaccinated. He just doesn't have he's not quadruple boosted. Oh yeah, here it is. He is vaccinated. Why isn't he eligible to play? Because he does. Yeah, okay. Some guy knows. Source, for what it's worth. I don't know. I'm just gonna keep perpetuating fake news because I can, and free speech. I'm a free speech absolutist, so I will defend mine and everyone else's right to spread misinformation. I just scrolled all past all those comments because I was talking and didn't even read them. Being vaccinated at this point is pointless. We have therapeutics such as monoclonals and blah 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 blah. Let's go. Gonna get banned from Twitter, but whatever. Monoclonal is unresponsive to Omicron variant, FYI. Why would you post that? It's well documented that Omicron... People have said literally the cold before, but Omicron literally is the cold. And you don't need 18 booster needles sticking out of your skull for the cold. Know what I'm saying? Oh god, another natural immunity argument. It's not the same. Yes, I know the vaccine does not last, which is why boosters are recommended. Boosters are not recommended because the immigrant from Pfizer said so, and he gets paid $1 billion in government contracts to produce the vaccine. That's not why boosters are recommended. But it's for your health. It's so you don't kill my grandma. Yeah, so that's about as comprehensive as this is. There's really no need to dwell on it. But yeah, here's the good stuff. Some more uppity nonsense. Oh no, what's going on? like, since my computer is so bad, I have to wait and see if this video is gonna play, and I have to mute it or pause it, or something like that. Let me check this. What the F? I'm curious, what is this gonna do? Is this gonna dox me? Yeah, I'll pass. Alright, so whatever. As far as the news for this goes, the Brian Flores thing in the NFL, he filed a lawsuit because the NFL is racist, yada yada yada, we know. But two more former black coaches jumped on board with the class action lawsuit. So, according to the race hustlers in the media, this lawsuit is picking up steam, and we need to talk about it. So I will talk about it. Because I want to, not because they are. Pause. Yo, pause. Okay. Oh, man. Pause, you slut. Alright, cool. Yeah, so he amended his... This article is really long, so I definitely don't plan on reading it verbatim. Yeah, so Steve Wilkes and Ray Horton. I think that's like the ice cream thing, or the restaurant. Just kidding. It's a black man. I shouldn't trivialize it because that's wrong. Sham interviews, blah 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 blah. Yeah, the NFL has denied any wrongdoing and said these claims were BS, like we expected. Where's the new stuff? Because I already talked about this before. Yeah, this is an important line. There are two paths here to pursue. The first, of course, is whether any laws were broken. The second is whether the NFL will react internally to the growing list of allegations. So the first thing is whether any laws were broken. That's the funniest part about this, is because obviously the answer is no. And that's why it's so similar to the Colin Kaepernick thing. It's really just a publicity stunt from someone who... Disgruntled, that's the word. Someone who was feeling disgruntled, felt they were wronged by their organization. And since they got that melanin, the cards usually fall... What the hell is the expression? Things usually fall their way. So, I don't know what provoked him. Because people, white, black, whatever, people vouch for this guy while he was still coaching. They said he was a good coach. So it's not like he was not going to find a job or anything after he got fired. So I don't know what his flipping deal was. But, yeah, to anyone with a working brain, this was obviously for media attention, for him to become a micro-celebrity. But yeah, so this probably still isn't going to go anywhere. Let's see. Yeah, and I talked about this the other day. Since the lawsuit was filed in February, the NFL has created a diversity advisory committee and has also levied a new requirement for every team to hire a minority offensive assistant coach. Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day because I did a video and I thought of something funny. Like for all the wages out there, including myself, like when we look at our pay stub and see all the deductions, you know, your local, your federal, whatever, and the Social Security on there. And in the article I did a video on the other day, it stated that the NFL was creating a pool of money specifically and only for these new minority coaches that were going to be brought in as a result of this initiative. So, probably this pool of money is going to come from just like league revenue, and it's going to get, doled out by some percentage or whatever. But, a funny thought I had was the people where their contracts aren't totally guaranteed, which is like 99% of the league. Could you imagine if you just saw another deduction on your paycheck? It doesn't just go for them, but I guess it could go for anyone else. It's probably not too far-fetched, to be perfectly honest, for just regular wages like myself. But if you saw another deduction one day on your pay stub, under your federal whatever that just said, like federal diversity deduction or withdrawal, whatever it's called on there, and just some random backup like left tackle who has no guaranteed money and just goes living paycheck to paycheck isn't the right word, because they still make around most of them make at least like 6 digits. But if they just open his check in the mail, and percentage wise it's probably more because they get paid more. But if you just saw like a $2,000 deduction and it just said diversity, that'd be pretty keck. NGL. So yeah, that's what's going on in my mind. Is anyone here to hear that? No. Let's see. Yeah, Flores called the entire effort an obvious public relations stunt. That part is true. Of course it's a public relations stunt. But what are you going to do about it, big guy? It's funny, the NFL and all of professional sports, like NBA, whatever, they all bend over backwards for black people. This is no secret. But the article the other day I went over, it started to include women. That you're required to interview a coach of color, or a cock for short. You have to interview women as well. They're part of the minority hiring pool. And when the Rooney Rule was first initiated, where it was stated that you had to interview 2 black coaches, I don't remember hearing Brian Flores complain then, saying that this was disenfranchising and disincentivizing white coaches, or potential white coaches, to, try really hard, try their best, try and move up in the ranks and get hired. But now that there's more competition for him, because they're including women as minority hires as required interviews, now all of a sudden he's got a problem with it. Very, very funny, very comical. First they came for the whites, and Brian Flores said nothing because he was not white. And then they came for the blacks, and no one was there to... what the hell, that's not true. What am I even saying at this point? It's all a big joke, isn't it? But whatever, moving on. Let's see. Yeah, he alleged that his, I was going to say his owner, but that's questionable rhetoric, considering he is a black man. You guys remember that? Oh man, I'm doing it again. I'm saying you guys as if people are watching. Real schizo stuff. But I don't know, it feels weird not to say that. But yeah. I forget. It might have been the NFL, but there was some outcry to, I think it was the NBA actually, yeah. there's some activist outcry to eliminate the word owner from, the literal owners, like titles, because that is offensive to black people, and it invokes pain and anguish from a time where no one in this country was alive to experience it. You guys remember that? I remember that. It was very brief, but very it was a microcosm. Yeah, that's something I want to say. Sports. It's a nice case study, a nice microcosm of what generally goes on in this country. So someone who is, basically has room temperature IQ can kind of get a general sense of how the rest of the country is operating just by following sports. And that's not a good or bad thing, because if you just mainly pay attention to sports, you're going to come away being like that guy I highlighted on Twitter. But what if it was the reverse? If someone just, all they did was consume sports content all day, and if you spoke to them, they would talk about like white majoritarianism and immigration moratoriums and banning vaccines and arresting doctors who perform abortions as accessories to murder. Can you imagine if that's what sports people talked about online? Like that's how they viewed the world because they watch sports. Does that make sense? What a nice thing to think about. But luckily I am like that. Psych. I shouldn't say that. I'm a nice guy, and everyone likes me, and I support American, global right thinking doctrine. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The funniest thing is someone did end up hiring the guy anyway, so it's not like he's unemployed and is forced to coach like the high school JV team. He's a veteran coach in the league, and he's definitely making over six figures. So I don't know what he's looking to gain from this. He'll probably just say so other minorities don't get treated like him. He's doing this as a noble endeavor. Yada, yada, yada. Whatever. We let people get away with this. The league has said that diversity is core to everything we do, and added that Flores' claims are without merit from a legal perspective. That's pretty funny. Take notes, NFL. Do you see now? Diversity is core to everything you do, you say? And yet, African Americans are filing class action lawsuits against you? So, you have two options. You can become more based or more cringe. If history tells us anything, it's going to be the latter. But I can hope. Let's see. Jeremy Duru is on the case. So the NFL is quaking in their boots. Yeah, so they got some black lawyer to get a quote in here saying it's a strong complaint and not one that throws spaghetti at the wall. I'm no legal expert, but his main thing is that they were doing... Yeah, they talk about it. Okay, yeah. So I'll get into it in a second. Let's see... Anything new? Yeah, he accused the Texans of removing him from consideration for their head coaching job in retaliation for filing the lawsuit. So that's the problem here. A lot of this is just allegations, and I have lawyers in the family, and this is just like common sense. A lot of this is just, it seems like it's going to end up being his word against theirs. He says they removed him from consideration because of the allegation, and the Texans will say, no, we removed him from consideration because we wanted to hire someone else. And how do you rule one way or another? What leg does Flores have to stand on in these allegations? And Jeremy Duru see something, but I don't. Maybe he can educate me. Let's see. He did not provide any direct evidence other than to say it was clear, based on the timing of his disqualification and the ultimate hiring of Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith is black, by the way. So is he mad that they hired a different black coach? This is just a mosh pit. This is just really wacky. It doesn't make any sense. These loony liberals and their racism allegations are crazy. Let's see. So this guy, Steve Wilkes, accused the Cardinals of discrimination for firing him. Excuse me. After one season in which his record was 3-13. So yeah, I did read this article before, full disclosure. And this is an easy debunk. I'm gonna debunk so hard right now. My team, the Giants, white coach this past year, Joe Judge. He came in all blustery and bold and stern, from a successful organization. He said he's not going to tolerate, poor performance and whatever, all the nonsense that's been going on in the Giants organization for years. And he set the bar super high and whatever. And he made it sound like he was going to right the ship ASAP, draft correctly, coach correctly. The team will, even if the team didn't win a lot of games, they would, play like the Lions did this past year. The Lions won one game, I think. But most of their games were competitive, and they were still filling out their stadium at the end of the year because they were entertaining, and that team had heart. But the Giants were just a shit show all year. I stopped watching, TBH. I know I'm a bad fan. But anyway, so Joe Judge, white guy, comes from, I'll say privilege, quote unquote, to accommodate retards. Had everything, said all the right things, blah, blah, blah. And they fired him after 1 year because he was a bad coach, like a really bad coach. There's coaches that could take, you know what? The Lions coach, I don't remember his name. But, white guy, whatever, not relevant. Like I said, the team won one game, I believe. But the guy is universally liked in the locker room, the media, everywhere. Like, the team would die for him. No one has anything bad to say about the guy. And, lo and behold, they win less games than the Giants, but they don't fire the coach. They keep him. So if you can do something like that, like the guy obviously had a bad roster, but if you can play like competitive, inspiring football with what you have, that goes a long way in the league. But if you're like Joe Judge, or in this case Steve Wilkes, I think that's his name, Steve, who is black, teams want to win. And was this 2018? I don't remember that year. But it must have been a really ugly year. They were 3-13. And There must not have been many people vouching for him, so they fired him. This isn't a new phenomenon. This happens to white coaches, black coaches. Any coach who sucks can get fired at any time. This is just obvious stuff. I know I'm not breaking new ground here, but I'm just I'm putting my lawyer hat on. I'm debunking this class action lawsuit, and I didn't even go to law school. Pretty impressive. Impressive, But yeah, so that doesn't make any sense. So this paragraph, this might be the only thing they have going for it, but I'm still not sure it matters. So here it is. Third Horton, I don't remember his first name, accused the Titans of violating the Rooney Rule by giving him a quote-unquote sham interview for the head coaching job that eventually went to Mike Mularkey in 2016. Should I make a Joe Biden joke? Do you want me to make a Joe Biden joke? Because it's on a silver platter. I'll just I'll leave it up for interpretation. Let's see. Yeah, so apparently a videotape came out of a podcast where this Mike Mularkey guy admitted the Titans told him he had the job before Horton's interview. Mularkey called it a fake interview process, a phrase that sure seems to put the Titans and the NFL on the spot. So optically, obviously, that looks bad. But the Titans still didn't break any league rules. The league rules are clear in that teams must interview, well, at the time, it said teams must interview to COC, before hiring a coach. And they did. It says nothing about sham interviews or each interview must be conducted exactly the same way, etc., etc. So the Titans followed the rule as it was written. And yeah, it seems shitty that if this is true, yeah, it's unfair, whatever. But, welcome to life, big guy. Life isn't fair. Do you see anyone else filing lawsuits against companies because it felt like their interview was a sham interview? For the company I work for now, I had an interview internally before I had the job I work now that I did, and I walked away feeling like it was a sham interview, and I didn't get the position. Yeah, you didn't see me filing any lawsuits or bitching and moaning, because I'm an adult and I moved on. So yeah, I'm not sure this holds water legally either. Frankly, it's just kind of funny. Yeah, so this kind of goes into what I'm saying. Yeah, black coaches have been saying this privately for years. Saying the quiet part out loud, if you will. Specifically that they receive job interest to fulfill the NFL's Rooney Rule, which requires teams to interview 2 external minority candidates for vacant head coaching jobs and are not considered serious candidates for many openings. So, unfortunately, while they may feel that way, that is a subjective claim. How can you prove that? Are you going to get the Titans ownership on the stand? Say, hey, were you just doing this because you wanted to fulfill the Rooney Rule and not because you actually didn't want to hire this black man? Gee, I wonder what their answer will be. They'll be like, no, we gave everyone an equal shot. And then what do you do after that? The judge is just going to look at you like, okay, do you have a response? Any objections? What are they going to say? Like, yeah, huh? This is just so childish. These black babies. Talk about liberal privilege, am I right? This is just Democrat privilege. It's all so tiresome. I'm gonna squeeze my physical therapy sponge. Let's see. To illustrate the point, Flores stated that he received word 3 days before he interviewed for the Giants team vacant spot that the job would go to Bills offensive coordinator Brian Daboll. As evidence, Flores produced screenshots of text messages from New England Patriots coach Bill Belichick, who appeared aware of Daboll's impending hire. So again, like, optically this doesn't look good, but as the rule was written, no rules were broken. As unfair as that may seem. And just keep in mind, this guy has a job in the NFL on a coaching staff, making far more money than most of the country. So just keep that in mind. Let's see. In addition, Flores said the Broncos officials arrived late to a head coach interview in 2019 and alleged they had been drinking heavily the night before, suggesting they did not take his interview seriously before they hired Vic Fangio, who was white. Gonna cry? Gonna shit your pants and cry, maybe? Yeah, that's really sad. It's really sad, Mr. Black man who has more money than me. Anytime I see anything like this, it's just from Zombieland. Woody Harrelson wiping his tears with $100 bills. Because this is a class struggle, not a race struggle. Anyway, the Giants said in a statement that Brian Flores was in the conversation to be our head coach until the 11th hour, and yada yada yada. We already talked about this. Was Horton's interview with the Titans a sham? That's what he alleges, and it appears to be supported by Malarkey's account. More specifically, Horton said the Titans asked him to interview on 1 day's notice in an, quote, orchestrated attempt to make it appear that the Titans had complied with the Rooney Rule and otherwise appear to have given an equal opportunity to black candidates so the team could announce the pre-made decision to hire Mr. Malarkey. End quote. So, yeah, being a dead horse. Yeah, maybe. But no rules were broken. And these blacks, they should be grateful that they're even getting a chance to get interviewed. You know how many other coaches, this is real, like, pea-brain conservatard, but I can't help but think about it. But, like, come on, how many coaches are out there that are probably equally as qualified, but there's no rule stipulating that they are required to be interviewed, whereas, blacks and women are required to be interviewed. Very sad. The Titans affirmatively misrepresented to Mr. Horton that he had a legitimate chance at the head coach position. The Titans also withheld from Mr. Horton and omitted material information, namely that the interview was illegitimate and a decision to hire Mr. Malarkey had already been made before Mr. Horton's interview. Yeah, it's very funny. We are laughing. How are you going to prove this? I don't know. Mike Malarkey might have said as much in a podcast, but as long as you don't have all parties involved to corroborate, like, how are they expecting to make any ground here? I don't know, but like I said, we are laughing. Haha, blacks blown out. Yeah, and let me work in the NFL because I'm smart. Yeah, so this is probably the funniest paragraph, or possibly one of them. Are sham interviews illegal? My guess is no. My guess is that they're not illegal, but they are funny. Flores' suit cites violations of federal and state civil/human rights statutes that are intended to ensure equal rights. It also reveals that he will file a complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which Duru said is a prerequisite for a claim under Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Yes, and we are loving the Civil Rights Act, aren't we, folks? Such a momentous and important moment. And totally not the beginning of this country's downfall. That seems a little on the nose. I probably shouldn't say that either. But yeah, in the channel description, this is all satire and entertainment, so I can't be liable for anything I say. What was I gonna say? Bing bong. Yeah, alright, yeah. So his claim is here that he doesn't have equal rights opposed to white coaches. But just keep this in the back of your head that there are rules in place that require people that look like him to be interviewed, okay? So just keep that in mind. He thinks he's being treated unequally. Let's see. At that point, plaintiffs have two options, according to Duru. Excuse me. They can claim a disparate treatment, which requires proof of intentional discrimination. Yeah, good luck with that. Or they could claim a disparate impact, which requires proof that a policy or standard impacts minorities differently than others. There is a rule that exists that impacts minorities differently than others. There is a disparate impact. It's the whole impetus for this, the Rooney Rule. The defense, how do they not like again, I'm not a legal expert, but this sentence, this is like a home run for Team White. Or they could claim disparate impact, which requires proof that a policy or standard impacts minorities differently than others. How does the NFL's billion-dollar Jewish lawyers not cite that? The NFL is going out of their way to have a disparate impact on minorities. I know disparate has a negative connotation, but it does mean just kind of like different. Unequal is probably more accurate. Yeah, they are being treated unequally. They're being held. They're being elevated. They're being held to a different standard in that standard is lower. Christ almighty. Is this thing almost over? Oh well. Wilkes time. Is this even worth reading? It provides a personalized account of frequent claims of double standards for black coaches. While he was fired after one poor season, forcing the Cardinals to pay out 3 more seasons of his contract. Okay. So he was fired after one poor season, which literally happens all the time. The Cardinals were forced to pay out the rest of his contract. I don't even know if that's common practice, but he got paid out the rest of his contract. Yeah, talk about disparate treatment. That was a GM, I believe, the general manager. Got a contract extension. Well, I mean, this is just how big businesses work. It's all like nepotistic. Everyone looks out for their friends and family. Unfortunately, Steve Wilkes, you are not special. They didn't do this because you are black. They did this, and I hate this part too, but they did this because you're not in their social club. And the social club does include black people. You're just not one of those black people. So hit the road, Jack. Let's let's see. The complaint says, Mr. Wilkes is unfortunately not an anomaly or an exception to the rule. To the contrary, the discriminatory treatment towards Mr. Wilkes is just part and parcel to the ongoing pattern and practice of discrimination in the NFL when it comes to the NFL's head coach, coordinator, and executive hiring and employment decisions. Yeah, this literally doesn't hold water. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't hold water, rhetorically speaking. Just the Joe Judge thing. Easy. Zip, bang, boom. Debunked. Next. What does it mean that 3 coaches are now involved? It means 2 out of the 3 coaches will never work in the NFL again. Yeah, lmao. Yeah, I was wondering why he wrote this. So when does the trial start? Like, what do you mean? Like, nothing's going on. But then I read it and like, yeah. So this is like red meat for that guy on Twitter, who you know is sympathetic to the class action lawsuit here. So like, surely this is going to court, right? Because the NFL is racist and stuff. Yeah, right. Unfortunately, it doesn't work quite like that. Generally speaking, standard NFL contracts call for disputes to be resolved via private arbitration rather than the judicial system. That's funny. Yeah, the NFL will outbid the other party to get a sympathetic arbitrator. So, yeah, grand scheme of things. Obviously, this will not go anywhere because the NFL will ensure they will obtain a favorable arbitrator for this. So this is all just, social justice, posturing, like, hey, look at us. We are black. Feel bad for us while I make hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah. These Democrat grifters have gone too far this time. Sure, they could affect college admissions and jobs. But once you cross the line into my sports, that's where I draw the line. That's where I have to step in and call it out. These damn Democrats. I've had enough, frankly. Yeah, remember that? I wish I had a channel at this time where they fired John Gruden because he said a black coach had rubber lips. But it came out after that John Gruden called everyone rubber lips. White people, black people. That was just some term he had for liars. I forget the correlation between rubber lips and lying. But they took an email where he called a black guy rubber lips out of context, and then they fired him the next day. So it's funny, like I'm laughing because it's just so like nonsensical, but it is really sad. They could just snap their fingers and take your job because that was probably something like he grew up hearing, like his parents probably, or his dad, I don't know, his uncle. They're probably saying sometimes, like, you lying to me, rubber lips. And he just said that to people. Maybe people didn't know what he was talking about or whatever, but I don't know. I feel bad for the guy. Even though he has millions of dollars, but yeah, that was very funny. Yeah, this is just lawyer jargon. It's not going anywhere. As much as you'd like it to. Yeah, discovery. That's legal jargon. It's not going there, right? Yeah, the NFL has managed to avoid discovery or public disclosure of the discovery process in several high-profile legal actions in recent years, including lawsuits filed by former quarterback Colin Kaepernick. Yeah. So that's years ago at this point. But anyone with a brain knew what that was. It's talk about like cringe sports Twitter. This Colin Kaepernick stuff is the epitome. When I talk about like people idolizing athletes, like we've seen those things like on Reddit and stuff, on Twitter. Well, I'm not on Reddit because I'm not a faggot, but where people do these fan fictions, like with Russia, for example, like with Captain America and Iron Man, like beating up Putin and Hitler and stuff like that, with like quirky rhetoric, and they're all just like taking turns kicking the shit out of quote unquote Nazis and stuff like that. There's a saddening percentage of the population that view Colin Kaepernick as a superhero figure. This idolization culture, and frankly, it is very unfortunate. And if anything is going to make me not that sports are liberal, they mandate vaccines, everyone is a cringe thing, but like social justice advocate, that won't make me stop watching. But if I keep seeing people posting fanfics of Captain America and Colin Kaepernick, kneeling with a cape on, holding up a fist, yada yada yada, that will remove sports groyper from the internet once and for all. Yes, the big question. The Rooney Rule legislates interview policies, but is there really any way to force owners to make diverse hires? Yes, interesting question. Yes, despair. That's the central despair of advocates in this space, which has devolved into a split screen of sorts. On the one hand, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell and other league executives have pleaded publicly for change. On the other, owners make their own decisions. Yes, this is not news. This is how business works. But like I mentioned earlier, we're probably not super far off from things like this. First they mandate that you interview them. Now they're mandating that you hire a percentage of them. Like the league has a threshold of minorities that have to be working in the NFL. And then, in a not so distant dystopian future, I wouldn't be too surprised to see any random NFL team that has a head coaching vacancy, and behind the scenes the NFL will firmly put their hand on the shoulder of ownership and say, what's going on, big guy? We found this head coach that we think will be a good fit for your team. End of conversation. You don't have a choice in the matter. Yeah, and Troy Vincent, this guy really sucks. Yeah, there's no social justice without racial justice, and what we've seen potentially, it suggests there is potentially a racial undertone. Yeah, there's just a total lack of. Is it malicious or is it lack of self-awareness? Who knows? Who cares? But I want my NFL back. Anything remotely interesting anymore? Funny. So in essence, the complaint demands owners change because they're acting illegally. Oh, really? Oh, really? Can you prove that? Are you confident you can prove that? Doubt. Yeah, it seems that they are hitting a roadblock because complaints like this have happened before, but they just can't get over the hump. Gee, what could it be? His lawsuit alleges incontrovertible evidence that the league's equal opportunity initiatives were purposely and openly flouted. We've seen extraordinarily strong arguments that this has happened in the past, but there hasn't been this sort of paper trail before. What kind of... I don't like... What is this paper trail referencing? You have examples of these black coaches, you know, quote-unquote, being wronged. But one, it's impossible to attribute it to race. And two, there's parallel evidence where this is happening to white coaches. So, what are we doing here? What is Flores seeking? A white wife, perhaps? What is he seeking? Stated that he is seeking, among other changes, increased influence of black individuals in hiring. What does that mean? Mandated hiring of black people? A bit Orwellian, if you ask me. Increased objectivity of hiring / terminating GMs, head coaches, and coordinators. Okay, that's fine. Unironically, that's actually fine. Increased number of black coordinators. Okay, that's just affirmative action. Incentivized hiring / retention of black GMs, head coaches, and coordinators. Yeah, this goes back to the nepotism thing. Hopefully, you know, in a perfect world, all this is performance based, but we know it's not. It's not like that because the NFL is a friends and family league, not because they hate black people. That is obviously not the case. Transparency of pay for GMs, head coaches, and coordinators. I'd be okay with that. I know rich people don't like to disclose their income, but I'd be interested in seeing it for probably different reasons than what Brian Flores wants. The amended lawsuit added some concrete suggestions, including an appointment of an independent monitor. I'm not sure what that is suggesting. Promotion of black ownership. Yeah, and I talked about this in the other video when I discussed this issue. Promotion of black ownership. So is this going to incentivize rich black people to purchase teams or disincentivize white owners to purchase teams? It's like, what does that mean? Promotion of black ownership. They're going to make owning an NFL team more appealing to a black person than a white person. How do you do that? The gears are turning right now. I'm brainstorming. Do you, like, under the table give them a higher salary cap or something? Because that's all public information, but you just lie, maybe? Give them more money to play with? Less luxury cap penalties? More compensatory draft picks? Like, hey, rich black man, I would like you to own this vacant, ownerless NFL team. If you do purchase, so what are they gonna do? Just like it's like standardized testing. They're just gonna get rid of all the difficult parts of managing and owning a team to what? Incentivize black ownership? Or what are they gonna do? Like the Rooney Rule, not just for coaching but for ownership? How does that even work? Doesn't it just go to the highest bidder? So what does it mean? Like, say the team, the experts estimate the team will go for, I don't know, $1 billion. However, if a black person bids $750 million, the auction is closed and it goes to that person. Is that possible? That'd be pretty funny. but also kind of messed up. A ban of forced arbitration. That's pretty funny as well, because the NFL will never lose arbitration because they have endless money. So I could see why they would want to get rid of that. Flores was hired by the Steelers. Did that disprove his allegations? In a word, no. I would disagree with that. How about earlier in the article when the Texans hired a different black guy instead of this black guy? Does that disprove his allegations? I bet they would say no again, but yeah, what's the defense there? Duru says it wouldn't change his core argument. Flores' accusations are both specific and global. A job as an assistant coach with one franchise wouldn't alter the facts of what Flores alleged happening at another, nor would it materially change the pattern of hirings and firings laid out in the complaint. This is literally not true. How does it not materially change the pattern of hirings and firings? We talked about the white guy, Joe Judge. But with Lovie Smith too at the Texans, how does that not change anything? Am I crazy? Am I missing something? Yes, while Coach Flores is now focused on his new position and making his six-figure salary, having a full-time, fulfilling job, living his dream, they will continue with this fake lawsuit so that real change can be made. Yes. And we are glad it is happening. Is it illegal to pay or offer to pay coaches money to lose games? I don't really care about that. It probably happens, but what are you gonna do? Teams tank. It's part of the game that many people don't like, but I don't really care about it. If you own your team, you can do what you want with it, in my opinion. But didn't the NFL say the allegations were, quote, without merit? It did, but that phrasing was in response to a lawsuit. In essence, the NFL statement said there was no merit to an accusation that laws were broken. Nonsense. Indeed, it will be difficult for the NFL to brush aside this accusation. When it tried to minimize its public acknowledgement of a sexual harassment We're nearing the end of the video, so I'm becoming less and less, what's the word? Not articulate. You don't know how to read? I don't know. Whatever. Whatever. Next paragraph. Yeah, don't care about Ross. That's the guy that was tanking. Finally, what about the tampering? Oh yeah, don't care about that. What's next? We're still waiting on a legal response from the NFL. And at some point, it will release its findings into the Ross investigation and... Alright, am I retarded? I've never seen this word before. Is that meat? Meaty? Meat? Out, discipline. Does that mean something? Whatever. Discipline if warranted. In the meantime, it's always possible more coaches or other people from the NFL ecosystem could join Flores, Wilkes, and Horton. Longtime NFL coach Hugh Jackson. Oh my God, Hugh Jackson. If there's anything that disproves this whole lawsuit, it's Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackson is black. He's an NFL coach. This guy, I think he was a coach of the Bengals and Browns or whatever. He was the model for... Hold on, I have to fart. There we go. He was the model for just like ineptitude and poor performance and predictably bad output in coaching and the whole 9 yards. And yet this guy held the head coaching job for years, bounced around on teams as a head coach. It was almost like people couldn't get rid of him. It was like Lindsey Graham. You know that people, there's like rumors that people have pictures of him like engaging in gay, homosexual behavior. Like, this Hugh Jackson guy, he's got to have information on someone, because there was a point where this guy, I think he went 0-16 one year. I think it was him. But there was a point where it seemed like no team could get rid of this guy. Black head coach, terrible for years. But no one could get rid of him. Head coach forever. I'm just realizing this now. So if the NFL is looking for a cheap intelligent alternative to a lawyer, you know, I'm available on the weekends. So hit my line. Because, listen, I don't want to simp for the NFL. I hate you, frankly. Because you're anti-me. But yeah, it's literally just another Kaepernick thing. It's people are gonna talk about it and say the NFL is racist and yada yada. And don't get me wrong, the NFL is not perfect. I hate them for different reasons, but it's just gonna fizzle out, and maybe he'll sign a contract with Nike and be in commercials and stuff like that. But my prediction is nothing will happen, and the NFL will continue to, incrementally increase diversity initiatives and all that cringe nonsense. But this is just unwinnable, unprovable. So yeah, that's the correct take on this situation. I know maybe most of what I said is probably no different than what a Clay Travis perhaps would say, but hopefully you can derive some nuance from this. And by you, I mean me, because no one's watching. Yeah, no one's watching, but that's okay. But yeah, so yeah, that's the end of the video. I hope it was enjoyable. Thank you. Goodbye.